Welcome to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. Last time, Dark Orange expanded their borders and a new country was formed called Dark Green. And over at the Lavender team, they got split into Mint and Lavender. And today we're going to look at both places again, how this will further evolve. Now that the Mint team was sick of the Lavender side of their original country, they were starting to prepare for war. Remember, these two countries now did not have any technology at the same level as others did, for example Dark Red or Brown or even Gold up there. But they had other means of technology that were more brutal. And all because of that, Mint was the first to strike. Because Lavender didn't have any provinces, this will be a little bit easier. Mint quickly marched towards the first settlement where everything began, and they got it settled. They got it secure, and all the troops were surrounding this settlement, so no one could venture or could take it back from the Lavender team. Slowly a front occurred and Mint got more parts of Lavender. And Lavender was sort of surprised that their second half, now called Mint, was stronger than them itself. But quickly Lavender got into touch with the troops of Mint and they started fighting in this front of the war. In both sides actually. They start to get a little bit close towards their settlement, but they were unsuccessful and they got shot back even more because of that. The front of Mint got stronger and got wider, and they got every part of the Lavender troops right there in the north. Lavender was smart though. They were going to surround the troops and go around them, and they were going to attack Mint from the side. They got far, but not that far that they could get many more parts of their land. Mint got back at widening their front, and also they marched more forwards to get the second settlement that was close enough. But remember, there was no capital yet. These two countries don't have a capital. They didn't have one place to rule their countries. Purple, on the other hand, slowly noticed that this settlement right here, close to Purple settlements, was going to be more abandoned than before. They saw life occur on the other side, but slowly more people got away. So Purple had a feeling that something was off, and yes, it was, of course. Back at Dark Green in Africa, they got back to exploring the coast of Africa, and yeah, that went quickly, and they got pretty far. They also went more inland on two sides. Dark Red, on this side of the coast, was also expanding a little bit, but was careful with expanding that massively in the south, because their main point is of course in the north. But the king also finally approved to get some more land here in the north, southwards of more settlements here. They even expanded their border alongside Dark Blue. But to take a look at Red for a second, they were still thriving on their own, and after one fishing boat got lost from the coast, they wandered off pretty far, but luckily they found this island right here. And they got that. No one got it before them, so they were actually pretty glad that they could have a little bit more land, because they were of course encircled by the Dark Reds. Back at the war, and Mint was able to get pretty close towards the second settlement, and they were also trying to go towards the third already, but this front was going to be more weak because it was far away from their original settlement where they all begun. Lavender finally pushed through and got a great portion of the troops killed, and almost this front was closed off from Mint's side. Luckily, they got back at it and they killed a lot of troops from Lavender as well. But Lavender was not so weak anymore, and they pushed through and they got to settlement of Mint, and they closed off any more troops to go through without going into a fight right here. And very quickly every troop that was settled right here fled away inside of this part of Lavender that was now occupied by the Mint team. So it was looking pretty rough for the Mints now. But they pushed through and finally they got the second settlement of the war. But they were trying to get hold on these 3 settlements. And they wanted to keep them as long as possible. Lavender on the other hand got back to their land and got a great portion back again. They were trying to get this settlement back from both sides, north and south, but they were not able to do that, sadly enough. They also pushed back a little bit of Mint right here, but here at the second settlement they weren't able to get more land out of it anymore. Although Mint was in a war, they still wanted to expand their lands a little bit. Of course, not everyone was going to fight in this war, so they wanted to expand their borders alongside the coast a little bit more, to defend themselves if Lavender was ever able to get all the way here. More and more settlements right here in the Lavender team, these, for example, were coming together and they were going to negotiate what to do with their second half. They got pretty quick to the point that this settlement was too far away and just not relevant anymore to keep. They were scared if they still got this settlement, they had to flee with all the people that were still left inside this settlement, and that they then would get overrun by the purple team. So they abandoned this settlement and they wanted to secure their front. Let's say their front went something like this, to secure these 3 settlements from further danger. Mint pushed some more troops back from Lavender and they were able to get even closer towards the 3rd settlement, and they were able to thicken their front right here. But they lost land back in the northeast. But still, they kept fighting here in the settlement and they still were able to hold it. And after some time, some brute force, they got this 3rd settlement and they got access to the coast right here. And after some time, the front was looking like this. After Purple realized that no one was here in the Lavender team, they slowly got some land out of it and realized that really no one was here anymore. So they were fast and they took it really quick. And they were able to get far ahead in Lavender again, but they stopped before they were getting noticed. They got this part and the settlement was running again. It took a while, but Dark Green got some more land, also in the south. And also Dark Red expanded a little bit alongside the coast. And they got across these islands and took them. Far up in the north with the gold team, they expanded their borders in Greenland and they even got 2 settlements there. Dark Pink, slowly but surely, ventured alongside the northern coast of Russia and got some land out of it, and their border expanded a little bit. With also this island up here in the north. They were not alone because Neon Lime expanded a small amount as well. A little bit alongside Purple now as well. They wanted to get some more land, but not that much. Purple realized it and quickly got some more land around them again. Purple had plans to expand all the way here in the northeast, and they didn't want Neon Lime in the way. The front was now looking like this, and Mint pushed through some troops of Lavender and was able to get their settlement back. And this war, it was looking like a back and forth and not really much happened other than taking land, losing land, taking land, losing land. But Lavender did a mission to encircle this part of the troops of Mint, and they succeeded. So slowly but surely they fought back towards the south and the north a little as well to defeat Mint once and for all. Even close towards this settlement, people started to march towards the front to get rid of the Mint's troops. And after weeks of fighting, they won over this settlement again. And everyone in this part of the front was killed. They encircled this front as well, and slowly they were able to get their settlement back. Mint was defeated. They got no more troops from their own country because they were locked. They weren't able to get through this part of the front. They tried to push through again, but they weren't able to do that. Heck, they even just lost even more of their fronts and almost their settlement again. But luckily a little bit more but luckily they got a little bit more help from their own troops. These settlements right here, these 5, what I talked about before, they noticed they're winning so far, but also they're lost here with purple. They let it slide for now, but they did pay attention to this border right here. Lavender fought hard and they almost got their settlement back. And after weeks of fighting again, 3 lonely fronts without any connections were formed. And this middle one was quick to disappear. This one got smaller, but this one got a little bit larger, but not for long. But sadly almost all troops were killed and they fled in this settlement. The same with this one. And after a long fight, they lost this settlement too. Mint, however, didn't want to lose their settlement where it was originally theirs. So they got this front set up, solid, with many troops, and Lavender wasn't able to get through. But after long days of fighting, also Mint lost again here at the last settlement. Slowly the news came back here in the settlements right here. And Mint said, well, okay, Lavender, you won. And let's take a look at the new peace treaty. It was quick and simple. Lavender won over this settlement right here. Mint lost it, and their border got moved from somewhere over here towards this line right here. Mint wasn't very happy, but after just knowing these 2 groups couldn't get along anymore, they decided to indeed split once and for all. And after losing some land, they expanded a little bit, and they got as far as this little tip right here. Also a little bit more towards the south, they expanded their borders. Back towards Neon Lime and Purple. As you can see, Purple and Neon Lime are on good terms with each other. Heck, Neon Lime, their second best friend, so-called, is Purple. And also to update the document a little bit, Purple, their third most favorite best friend, is Neon Lime. But as you can see, it started to boil like a little bit. Lime really wanted to expand more towards the south as well. Their big plan was to get this whole part here in the north, but also to get more land in the south. They didn't really know how far Purple stretched or even where Lavender was lying. They knew about that land a little bit, but they were more like rumors than actual facts. So Lime got past Purple again, but Purple blocked them once more. Lime didn't stop. They got around them again. But before getting too close towards Purple, Purple pushed them back and surrounded them again. And Neon Lime was now like, okay, I think we have to stop. Maybe we're playing games with Purple, but we don't want to be enemies with each other. So they were like, can we keep this what we got right now? And we will not take any more lands beside you. Purple was fine with it, but they warned them if they would ever get farther than this. So Purple expanded a little bit more towards the northeast, and this part was just to secure their land a little bit more. To talk about Orange a little bit, now that they are like a puppet state for Brown, some people inside big settlements, and also smaller ones, were able to rebel a little bit. But the government of Brown was able to stop many of the people. And if the rebellion got too far, too big, Brown warned Orange because they could just get more land just for them. Because this was actually theirs as well, but it was still under the name of Orange. Magenta noticed something was up here in the Brown and Orange conflict. Pink as well. Heck, even Gold, because they are all bordering the puppet state Orange. But the people inside Orange were not stopping before they got their freedom back. Also in Dark Cyan, something was off. Here at this settlement from Cyan, they saw weird from afar, close towards the border as well. They saw stuff that was off to them. They saw many boats right here alongside the coast. They didn't know Dark Cyan was able to make boats at all, but they were. They got this message towards the Green King, and Cyan asks, "You were there in Dark Cyan recently, right?" Green said yes, but was saying, "I didn't got any answers if they ever took a part in the Second Great War." Cyan and green were careful. We're getting careful towards dark cyan. Something was up. After the war ended in Lavender, they really wanted to expand their borders too. But they were sick of being sandwiched a little bit. They could go up north, but they realized there are big, huge mountains in the north we are not getting through that easily. So what if we make boats and we sail not just alongside our coast just to trade, but also to search more land? And Lavender got a few groups together to sail in different directions. 2 groups, not too much, not to lose that much people. Some leaders of nearby settlements right here in the south had plans to sail towards the east and the west. Their first boat sailed off here in this settlement, this harbor that was here, towards the west. They sailed and they sailed. For a really long time, of course. Until they saw something right here. No one noticed this boat here at the coast of Dark Blue, but they knew about this settlement right here. They were sailing for days upon days alongside the coast of Dark Blue, until they noticed there was nothing left of life anymore, that no one was living here, so they got foot on land, and they marked this as their first new land outside of their mainland here in India. They expanded a little bit. They knew how they sailed roughly, so they followed their coast again with a boat that went back. Some people stayed behind, and when they got back here, they sailed back towards the east again. They came back here, right here in the south, much more south than where they actually came from, but at least they got home. The second boat got off on this harbor right here. They sailed east, and they found this little island right here. Slowly but surely they noticed all these islands in a row, and they sort of knew that it was close towards Mint, so they wanted to get it before they got it. They also traveled alongside the south, and yes, they were able to get on land right here. This was closer to home, so they were able to get much more faster back and forth with more people and supplies to enlarge their land right here in the southeast. Mint didn't knew about this, though they totally didn't knew about this. Also, Mint was expanding their borders towards the south, but they never knew about this part of Lavender yet. Lavender expanded majorly here in the south, until they got this whole part of this island. Right here in the coast of Africa, they also grew. And after months went by, they got 2 new settlements here in Africa, alongside 4 more here in Indonesia. But they also expanded with 4 more settlements here in the north, and 1 close with the border of purple, because they lost one. And these people still wanted a home close, resembling where they first lived. They had plans to get it back, but yeah, that didn't happen yet. Lavender expanded their border a little bit in the north, but they were scared to come across the blue country they knew that was living here. After a few months, Dark Blue also started to venture more towards the south. They wanted to expand here as well. But then they met. Dark Blue came across Lavender. They didn't know at first who was living here, but they quickly got things together, figured things out, and they got the knowledge that Lavender expanded here in Africa. They got this knowledge towards Purple, and then Purple said, I think the world towards the east is getting bigger than we thought it was.